All right, good morning and welcome back. Sorry for the hiatus, ladies and gentlemen. Been grinding at work, just putting in 70 hours a week, trying to rack up some dough. Got a little bit too addicted to Elden Ring. I don't regret it. Would do it all over again if I had to. But I'm back, and you know why? Because today is the official kickoff of the NFL season. We got the Chiefs and Ravens throwing down tonight in Arrowhead. Super pumped up for the game. We'll touch on both of those teams later in the video. And the format for today is just going to be going through each division of the AFC. NFC will come in a separate video. We're going to go through each division in the AFC in order of how I believe they are going to finish. And we're going to touch on three topics that I feel are either a positive or negative, something to look out for. And so that's how it's going to go down. Let's not waste any more time. Glad you guys are back. Glad I'm back. Glad football's back. Let's get into it. Starting off in the East, we've got the Bills finishing in first place. And something that I am very excited / hopeful / annoyed because I'm a Patriots fan is seeing if Josh Allen can return to his near MVP form back in 2020 when he had Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator. Dude was unstoppable. Everybody knows that Josh Allen is this incredible athletic freak. He's got a cannon for an arm. Can just bulldoze people like he's Jerome Bettis in the backfield and makes all these crazy highlight plays. You could arguably say that Josh Allen makes more insane plays than Patrick Mahomes. He's just got this backyard style football to him. And if you're a Bills fan, it's great to watch. Or if you don't have any emotional attachment to the team the Bills are playing, it's very fun to watch. But if you do, incredibly frustrating. We all know, though, he's prone to turnovers. And last year, that's what bit them in the heel. And really, throughout his career, that's what's been the tough thing for them to deal with. And so, can he return to that 2020 form when he was, I think it was 38 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, a bunch of yards on the ground with a bunch of scores as well. And they went all the way to the AFC Championship and dueled out with Kansas City. And so, that, or I think it was the divisional round, excuse me. I'd have to go back and check. Can't always be right. But that would be my main concern with the Bills. And I believe that he will. And part of the reason I believe he will return to that form is less distractions. So no more Stephon Diggs. You got a bunch of young guys in that locker room who are hungry. So you got Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook. Oh my gosh, who is it? They just I got to look this up because they drafted somebody, a good young running back. I have to look it up, but they also have got, I think, Isaiah McKenzie. So they got a young offensive unit that I believe all just want to chip in and help as they can. Ray Davis, that's who it is. Ray Davis. Look out for him. Heard he's been really good during camp. And so I'm excited to see how they all cohese. So they really got rid of a lot of veterans, and they brought in a lot of young talent, which you're seeing the young talent nowadays step in and contribute way faster and way more because the college game, they're training with so many athletes that are either at the level or on their way to the level with trainers that have trained people at that level. So when they get into the NFL, it's not this huge skill gap that we used to see in the early 2000s. So with that, I do believe the Bills are still top dogs in the AFC East. And I think this is probably going to be one of their better years. I would expect them to be deep in the playoffs. And hopefully my Patriots can take them out one time. Coming in second in the East. Got the Dolphins. Big question with the Dolphins is Tua's extension. Can he match the money that they're paying him to the production that he is having? Because it's all fine and dandy when you're on a first-round rookie quarterback deal where it's like $8 million for the higher-end picks, and then it scales down. But when you've got to pay somebody $40 to $60 million a year, you can't have these like, so years where it's like, is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he top 12? Or is he top 8? It's like you have to be top 5 because you're getting top 5 money. And now you can't allocate that to other positions on the team. So that's the biggest thing. I've been a Tua believer pretty much his entire time he's been on Alabama and in the NFL. Up until probably this offseason, I just started to think, like, should they take Michael Penix? Is there that much of a drop-off? Could Michael Penix be better? And that's a whole different topic, but that's a big question. Can Tua match the money? If he does, they'll be deep in the playoffs because that'll be top 5 money, top 5 quarterback. But he needs to match that. Another thing for them, the health. The health. Man, they got ravaged by injuries last year. It's sad to see. I wish you could take that out of the NFL or any sports league. Injuries stink. Hopefully they can stay healthy. Outside of that, I mean, start fast. You know, everybody knows they're not a winter team, so they need to start fast so they can solidify home field advantage come winter time. They're not traveling. We saw it last year when they went up to Arrowhead, played in negative degree weather. They're not going to... I don't care if it wasn't negative degree weather, any cold weather. They're not built for that. They're a track team. They're built for Miami. That's why they are the Miami Dolphins. They're built for it, which is awesome. It kind of represents their city. But they need to start fast so they can get at least 2 playoff games at home. So they need to win the division, and so they win the division, which would get them a home divisional and a home wild card. Well, depending on their seeding. But they need to have a good record so they can get 2 playoff games. Because maybe they can travel 1, capture some magic. Tall order, though. So they need to start fast. And this might be their last year to try to win the division. Jalen Ramsey getting older. Teron Armstead's getting older. You know, some contracts are going to be due. Getting close. Coming in third in the East, we got the Jets. I do not think the Jets are going to be good. I don't want to be a hater. I'm not a hater. I root for people. There's just a lot of question marks. Will they be better than last year? Obviously. And the biggest question, pretty much in the NFL, what will Aaron Rodgers look like? I really have no idea. He's a great quarterback, so I'm sure he'll do good. Are we expecting 2021 and 2022 Aaron Rodgers, or 2020 and 2021 Aaron Rodgers? The 4 MVP season Aaron Rodgers? Coming off an Achilles behind a offensive line that, you know, they got some good veterans in there, but there's no cohesion. And then Garrett Wilson's a stud. Mike Williams, can he stay healthy? No real tight end help. I mean, they got Breece Hall. That's a great pickup, or not pickup. That's a great draft pick who should have a breakout year. Aaron has always had kind of a mobile game where he's rolling out, making these crazy plays, on bootlegs, play actions. He's a stud. How much mobility is he going to have? 42, I believe. So that's to be determined. They start off against the 49ers. Are we not expecting the 49ers to kick in their teeth? I can see it. So we'll see how it goes. Can't say I'm rooting for him. Can't say I'm rooting for any of the East teams besides who's coming in fourth? The Patriots, unfortunately. Because this is an obvious rebuild. And I see a lot of people dumping on him about the Drake May situation. Oh, they've mishandled it. He should be starting. He outplayed Jacoby. If it was a true competition. Guys, we are not making it to the Super Bowl or the playoffs this year. Our offensive line is shoddy. Our skill group is young. Our running back room is decent, but it's not like we've got vintage Walter Payton back there. We got a new offensive coordinator who's never called plays, and we got a brand new head coach who's never been a head coach. So it doesn't make any sense. And on top of all that, we got a quarterback who all the experts said he needs to work on his footwork. He needs to sit a whole year. He needs to take time to learn how to be a pro and play in a pro-style offense. But now we're dumping on the Patriots for taking it slow. This is what we hired. This is what we signed Jacoby Brissett for, was to add a buffer period so Drake May could learn how an NFL game week is executed, how game plans are implemented, improving his footwork, getting him some more camaraderie with the guys, letting the offensive line get a little cohesion through the first month of the year. Doesn't make any sense to start him right away. And so we'll see him at some point this year. I would probably say earlier than later. I think they will get in there because he did show that he's ready. I think he's a gamer. I'm not worried about it at all. I expect next year this ranking is going to be way different. So I would expect Jake either starts after September, like in October, and if he doesn't start in October, I would expect after the bye. Those would be my two guesses. And then last bit on the Patriots, we lost Barmore, we lost Judon. That's going to hurt our defense. I expect our defense to drop off a little bit. We still got studs on there, but we lose Bill. We still got Covington, DeMarcus Covington, and Jerome Mayo, but we lose Judon and Barmore. That's going to hurt, and Bill should fall off a little bit. Still think they'll be a competitive unit. Alrighty, that concludes the AFC East. Now we're going to move on to the AFC North. And in the AFC North, you know who I got finishing first? The Bengals. So, one second. I sip my green tea. So I got the Bengals finishing first. A little bit of a caveat. Joe Burrow, can he stay healthy? If he's healthy, I believe they will come in first. And I believe they will be with the Bills as the only rival to the Chiefs immediately. Maybe the Texans too. Okay, I'm getting off topic. I think the Bengals, this is the year that they start fast. The past few years, Joe Burrow, they always come out a couple weeks into, it's like, this is always our thing. It's like they need to start fast. They cannot be in a position, because if Joe Burrow does go down, and they did start fast, say they're 7-2, Joe Burrow's got to miss 2 games. Well, now you go 8-3 if you go 1-1 in those games. And Zach Taylor showed that he can put in an average quarterback and win with them. But if you start slow and you're 4-4 and now you're 5-5 through week 10, like, dude, the AFC's loaded. So they need to start fast because their own division is loaded. So that would be the main thing for them. Obviously, Jamar Chase got to get that deal handled. He's at practice. That is a must sign. I think he's one of the best receivers in the league. I don't even think he is one of the best. First round pick in fantasy. Let's go, Jamar. And then I believe this is T. Higgins' last year with the Bengals. I understand why they didn't trade him last year, because you're still trying to chase that championship, and he's a big component in that. But if you got to give money to Chase or Higgins, you give it to Chase all day. So outside of that, they got a young secondary. DJ Turner, Cam Taylor, Britt, Dax Hill is moving from safety to corner. I'm excited to see how that goes. Jordan Battle. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think the Bengals win. And right on their heels, the Ravens. And I don't think the Ravens are going to be bad. I just think the Bengals are going to be better. The Ravens still got Lamar. They still got Harbaugh. They still got Roquan. They still got Kyle Hamilton. They still got Marlon Humphrey. They still got Mark Andrews. And they got a star-studded lineup. They did lose a lot of talent, though. They lost, I believe, both of their tackles. And, that definitely hurts. They lost Justin Madubuike. That hurts. And I think probably the biggest offseason loss that they had was Mike McDonald. Boy genius, as they call him. Dude was a stud defensive coordinator. Off to Seattle. Congratulations to him. How much does that hurt? So, part of me believes that last year was their peak. Part of me believes that they could still get better. But most of me believes that they're a 10 to 12 win team, which is very good, that might have missed their chance last year. So we'll see how that plays out. Coming in third, we got the Browns, and I have 3 things written down, but really there's only one thing that matters, and that's Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play to the amount of money they're giving him, they're screwed. They're tied into this deal for 3 more years. He's getting $60 million a year, guaranteed. So there's no way out of it. And he has not looked good at all. So he needs to play up to the level. We saw a glimpse of Texans Deshaun in that game against the Ravens, and then he's out for the rest of the year. It's like, well, what happened? He didn't look injured in the game, and then all of a sudden he's out for the rest of the year. Started to capture a little bit of that magic. Can he regain his former Pro Bowl self? If he does, this team's got a Super Bowl roster. They'll be in the playoffs because that defense is loaded. Jim Schwartz is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. You got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I don't know how you say it, but dude's a stud. So that's the main question. Deshaun Watson. Another little thing to look up. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, though. Jerry Jeudy extension. That's a little questionable. He hasn't really produced. We all know the famous Steve Smith clip where he's just dumping on him. Super funny. Curious to see how he plays. And at the end of the wagon, we got the Steelers. Is this the last year for Tomlin? Is this the first year for a Tomlin-led team to go under 500? Feels like it might be. You got a battle of Russell and Fields, which Russell hasn't looked good for 2 years, and Fields has shown that he consistently cannot throw the ball from the pocket, which is how you win in this league. Everybody wants to give credit to Mahomes for making all these crazy off-platform plays. He is elite in the pocket, and that's how you win in the NFL. Players are too good. This isn't high school and college. You can't just run around Johnny Manziel in it. You got to play from the pocket. If he can show that, he might be their future. But that's an interesting battle. When will we see Fields if Russell doesn't play good? And then another little battle is Najee or Jalen Warren. Najee had an incredible first 2 years. Then the production fell off. And Jalen Warren, his first 2 years, he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. He's a jitterbug. He's an underrated power runner. I mean, the dude is built like a wrecking ball. So does he get more touches? And then, obviously, their defense is going to be lights out. Every Steelers defense for my entire life and dating before that has been lights out. I mean, they got TJ, they got Joey Porter, Minka, Highsmith. The defense is not going to be an issue. Patrick Queen, I forgot. Yeah, they signed him from their division rival, the Ravens. Defense is going to be loaded. But can the defense stay off the field enough for it to matter? All right, moving on to the AFC South. This team is my dark horse, and I know you might be thinking a certain team, but I'm going to surprise you. I got the Jaguars winning the division. They're my dark horse, and this is my main reason. First year under Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer, absolute disaster, probably one of the most notorious fails in NFL history. Laughingstock was out before the middle of the season. Embarrassing. That hurt Trevor Lawrence and the whole team, obviously. They didn't have ETN that year as well, who is a stud. One of the best backs in the league, and he'll prove it this year. Thing is in their second year, they battle all the way to get to the playoffs, and they're losing terribly, and they make a miraculous comeback against the Chargers in classic Charger fashion. But then last year, they started off 7-2, and then they were 8-3. Trevor gets hurt, they have the injury bug, and they just finished terribly. But they were on the right trajectory, and then injuries hit them. So I believe with the addition of Brian Thomas, that offense is going to be humming, and I think Trevor Lawrence is going to prove that he's worth all the money they gave him, and he needs to. Coming in second, obviously the Texans. Is there going to be a sophomore slump? Tough to tell. They added a ton of talent. I mean, they got Stephon Diggs, which I think that situation will be fine. D'Amico Ryan said there will not be any issues. They signed him to a short deal, so if he's giving them any problems, he's out. They still got Nico, and they still got Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz is a great receiving tight end. They added Joe Mixon. They still got Dameon Pierce. And then on defense, like I was saying, they got Danielle Hunter. Christian Harris had somewhat of a breakout year last year at the linebacker position. Will Anderson, if he could stay healthy, looks like he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowl player. And then Derek Stingley Jr., who, when it's all said and done, could be better than Sauce Gardner. And they went a couple picks within each other. And then one little piece in their secondary again, Jalen Petre. Dude's a stud. So I still think they're going to be very good. And this isn't a knock on the Texans as I put the Jaguars ahead of them. I think the Jaguars are just going to be better. Coming in third, the Colts. Another team that I think is going to have a good year. It's just you're in a loaded AFC. There's only so much you can do. I believe Shane Steichen is going to prove that he is one of the better coaches in the league. We saw it when he was calling plays for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts was a stud, and that Eagles offense was humming every week. And then last year, they had freaking Gardner Minshew, and they almost went to the freaking playoffs. Now you get Anthony Richardson back, who was said that he's raw, he's going to need some time. Name him week 1 starter, and he looked really good. Sure, there's going to be growing pains, but he did look very good. So that's exciting to see. Does he hit some rookie walls because he didn't play a lot last year, or did that time sitting help him? Additionally to Anthony Richardson, when you got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield with that offensive line, pick your poison. Anthony Richardson can bust it for 70 yards, Jonathan Taylor can bust it for 70 yards. That's going to be a nasty backfield. I feel like people are sleeping on Jonathan Taylor a little bit. He led the league in rushing a couple years ago. He was injured a few times and then had the contract issue. I expect Jonathan Taylor to reclaim his spot as one of the best running backs in the league. I feel like people haven't really been reminded just because of some of the issues he's had, but he's a stud. And then their offense, I feel like they're going to be a little bit dependent on it, obviously for the factors I just named, but look at the wide receiver room. You got Michael Pittman, who you just signed to an extension, who's kind of a Larry Fitzgerald type, like big body possession receiver. Josh Downs, who's a very twitchy slot guy. And then you just drafted Adonai Mitchell, who's your kind of jump ball one-on-one guy. So I expect their offense to be very good. Questions on the defense, though. Can Juju Brents take a step in year 2? Kenny Moore, perennial Pro Bowl player. Can he keep up his production? So questions to be had. I'm excited for the answers to be revealed. Now coming in last place, the Titans. Obviously Will Levis. They drafted Joe Alt. They signed Calvin Ridley. They signed Tony Pollard. They got Tyjae Spears. They're giving him all the tools. And they're telling us, go make us something beautiful. I'm excited. I think Will Levis can be a good quarterback. How high is his ceiling? To be determined, obviously. But they spent a lot of money in free agency. They also got Ladarius Sneed. So high risk, but high reward. So we'll see how they come out. Obviously, the new coach, O'Callahan. I expect their offensive line to still be very good. even though they've lost some key players over the years, and obviously Derrick Henry. But anytime you have an offensive-minded head coach, usually you don't have too many problems with the offensive line because you're able to craft plays around your strengths, and they know that better than a defensive-minded head coach. And then, just last thing to touch on them, how much will they miss Henry? Will they change from a run-centric team to a pass-centric team? Interesting to see. And wrapping up the AFC, we've got the AFC West. And in no surprise, we got the Chiefs coming in first in this division. I mean, how can a team play so bad in the regular season and then still win the Super Bowl? And then I got an answer for you. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, Nick Bolton, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Joe Thuney. The team is loaded. I don't see how they don't come in first. And spoiler alert, they might be my pick to win Super Bowl. I don't know. We'll get into it. Coming in second, I got the new look Chargers. Got Jim Harbaugh there. Huge identity change. Biggest question to me, though, for this franchise, Justin Herbert's got a lot of doubters. And I'm partly in the boat. Obviously, he's physically gifted, can prove that he can play in the league. But can he shut the rest of those doubters up that think he's overrated? Because at times I believe that too. We all hear about, Justin Herbert, he's elite. But has he done a ton? Not really. And we can blame it on Brandon Staley and Anthony Lynn. It's just that they've had a loaded team. And really throughout my entire childhood and life, they've had loaded teams. And they just can't seem to get over the hump. It's like they're cursed. So that would be my main two questions on the Chargers. Another thing that I believe is worth noting, Derwin James. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be one of the best defensive players in the league. Mark it. Coming in third, we got the Broncos. And not that I think the Broncos are going to be a playoff team, but I do believe they'll be very competitive. Bo Nix looked really good in the preseason, and it's just preseason. But when you put Bo Nix and Sean Payton together, we saw what Sean did with Drew Brees, who played similarly to Bo Nix, kind of a lot of read and get the ball out quick, which is how Sean Payton wants his offense to be run. That's the thing with Kyle Shanahan, and when they drafted Trey Lance, and they talked about the off-platform, and he can make these cool, out-of-timing plays. They don't want out-of-timing plays. They want you to execute the offense. Sean Payton's an elite offensive coordinator. And I think that Bo Nix is a great addition to the team, and I think they might surprise some people. They still have a lot of rebuilding to do. Losing Justin Simmons. They lost Jerry Jeudy. I don't know how big of an issue that is. But then they've got the huge contract that they're still paying to Russell Wilson, and they had to cut ties with it. Everybody would have done it. So they're turning a new page. They're starting a new chapter. I do believe they're 1 year away from being a team to take seriously. And obviously coming in last place. This is no dig to the Raiders fans, but you got no QB. And in this modern NFL, no QB, no playoffs. I really believe if you would have gone back in time, would the Raiders give that money they gave Christian Wilkins? Would they give it to Kirk Cousins? And would the Falcons give the money they gave to Kirk Cousins to Christian Wilkins? Because they drafted Michael Penix? Because if you put Kirk Cousins on this team with Brock Bowers, with Devontae Adams, with Jacoby Myers, this team would be kind of loaded. Because they still got Max Crosby on defense. And he's a one-man wrecking crew. But they got Gardner Minshew manning the quarterback spot. And props to Gardner. He's had a great NFL career, relatively speaking. He's going to bounce around the league making a ton of money. Good for him. But you lose Shane Steichen as his offensive-minded guru, and now you're going over to a team where, you know, the head coach is a first-year head coach, defensive-minded, and Antonio Pierce. And you have the offensive coordinator for the Bears last year. I'm blanking on his name, but obviously the Bears QB play wasn't that great. So are we expecting a fall off? I am. And I do think that Antonio Pierce is a solid hire. I just believe the team was so mismanaged before him. One more thing on the Raiders, too. If they start really slow, which I expect they will, is Devontae Adams on the trade block? Because it feels like, yeah. There would be no reason to keep him. Because you need to rebuild towards your future, and he's a huge chess piece possibly in doing that. So that wraps up how I believe the divisions are going to fall and the reasons to watch these teams and look out for stuff. I told you I'd give you my AFC Super Bowl representative. It's the Chiefs. It's always been the Chiefs. I don't see how they don't get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Bills are good. Yeah, the Bengals are good. Yeah, the Ravens are good. Yeah, the Texans are good. Yeah, the Jags are good. But are they better than the Chiefs? A lot of these teams we have question marks, and obviously everything is still yet to be determined. But when you got Patrick Mahomes in his prime, Andy Reid, who's just been in his bag over the past 5 to 6 years, and now you add Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, I think, will have a bounce back. Pacheco is a year more into his career. That offensive line is very good, and their defense just keeps getting better. Steve Spagnuolo is there to stay. It's the Chiefs. So you heard it here first. Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl, going for the three-peat. That's my AFC preview. Excited to break down all the games. Chiefs-Ravens tonight. Excited to see it go down. And check in for the next video. We're going to be doing the NFC right after that. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Peace out.